Clearly CEO Roy Lee wrote a post about virality. He initially presented it as like Clearly's viral strategy, but it wasn't really about that. Like the post overall was about virality in general as a strategy. I thought it was a really interesting post. It's not very long, about just that notion of, do you need to go viral? How important is it for you? It's a good post for any CEO to read who has been the CEO who's been like, oh, let's just make it go viral. Because the overall point of his post is that virality is often misunderstood. And there's a right way to go viral. And I think he's also speaking in the world of Silicon Valley, right? Like there are different ways to look at virality, and I think everybody has a different definition of it. So it's not virality of like it's bad to get 10,000 likes or 20,000 likes. It's not even about that. It's sort of he sort of defines what it is in a sense. And so one
So what
thing
you're
he
saying is that most marketers, you would suggest send this to their CEO whenever they ask them to go viral.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Because he defines like what that really means and
Yeah.
whether something like should it go viral. Because one thing he says pretty early on is like first you need to deserve virality. Like it's at least on X and in the world of tech Twitter, it's most posts that deserve to go viral will.
Mhm.
And yeah, it is dependent on at least a few thousand people seeing it. And that's true, right, for with anything. But ultimately in this audience, if something isn't actually that good or that interesting or that clever, or, whatever it is, it's not going to go viral. So
Mhm.
that's one thing. And I think for anybody who feels that pressure of, oh, do we have to make this thing go viral? It's you have to ask yourself, well, why should it? Right?
Mhm.
Because what it boils down to is it's the content that deserves to get amplified that does get amplified. That's one thing. And the other thing is you need to understand what you want from virality, right? It's not just, hey, let's go viral and then hopefully you'll get more customers. It's, well, there are a couple of types of virality that you might want to achieve, right? Because, like, one thing is, sure, it can help you acquire some new customers, but if there isn't good, like, product market fit, then it's not ultimately going to help your business, right? And in that case, it isn't virality that you should be chasing. Virality should multiply the existing traction, right? You shouldn't be reliant on it to create the traction for you.
It's really interesting. That reminds me of the whole idea of just paid ads, right?
Hmm.
Where it's like so many people think it's like, oh, I just have to put money behind, this and it'll bring me leads without thinking about, are you actually putting money behind the type of people that you want to bring in? You know, and so a lot of people waste a lot of money and a lot of time just throwing money into like paying ads without asking the question of, um, is this the type of ad that would bring in the type of consumer that we want to bring in?
Right.
And of the consumers that are coming in, is this actually the type of consumer we want? And a lot of the times the answer is no, but like people just kind of keep doing it because they've been doing it or they feel like they have to. And a lot of startups feel like they have to just put money behind ads without asking those two questions, and they end up wasting a lot of money. And eventually they're like, okay, well, maybe we're approaching this wrong. Is it that we're approaching it where the customer is wrong, or is the product that we're marketing to the consumer that we want wrong? And I think those two questions are super important to figure out before you start spending money on ads, because it's going to matter so much more for the leads that you're bringing in and eventually in how you're making your business grow.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think there are similar heuristics here. Like,
Hmm.
because it boils down to, like, does it deserve it? But, well, what do you mean deserve? Like, is it
Hmm.
actually a good offer? Is it what
Yeah.
people want? Does it align with the type of customer
Hmm.
you want? Does it align with the type of purchase behavior that your business needs in order to grow? Right? Those
Hmm.
are all things that we should be asking ourselves as marketers,
Hmm.
as business owners, like as we think about creating the campaigns that actually do ladder up to those business goals.
Yeah. One thing I want to call out here is that Roy mentions that, right, where he's like, we've gone viral so many times, and so many of so much of the content that went viral didn't actually bring us any leads. Which is mind-boggling to like I assume a lot of people, because they're just like, what do you mean? How could you go viral and then like not actually translate that into any leads? And it's like this is the main crux of what he's talking about, right? It's just you can go viral, you can get all this attention, but if you're not getting attention from the right people that actually would want to buy your product, then what's the point of going viral other than just getting the attention? Also, to call out here for him and what they've been doing at Cluely is that he's then kind of translated this into more viral attention to himself and like what they're actually building. And that's led to, getting Andreessen Horowitz to like invest in them, and getting other investors. It's also helped, I'm sure, in recruiting engineers and marketing folks, the creators that they've brought onto the team. So leads might not be the main goal of why you go viral. There's other things that you can also be using that virality to get you. That's not just, oh, we're converting leads and like converting to sales and all that. So that's another thing to think about here. It's like the goal of like what you're doing doesn't always have to be leads. It can be, all these other things
Right.
that help your business grow.
Right, exactly. It's think about what your business needs. Like,
Mhm.
is it that you are going to make some key hires?
Mhm.
Is it that you're going out for a new round of funding, right? That
Mhm.
isn't just customers. And similar to that, on that notion of virality not equaling customers, we run into this a lot at SparkToro, the startup that I work at, where we have we've been in the news a handful of times over the years. Sometimes, for some really exciting things. Like I think it was last year, we were mentioned on John Oliver's show
Hmm.
in a study about zero-click search. I think they were citing our study on zero-click search and how 2/3 of Google searches end without a click, and they were citing some of that stuff, and that was super exciting for us, right? Because they called us, they asked some questions about the research to make sure it held water, and
Mhm.
they asked if they could mention us, all that good stuff, and that was super exciting. Of course, we were thrilled to be part of it, but does it translate to new customers? It didn't. It's like on one hand, of course we wanted the mention,
Mhm.
right? But on the other hand, well, we're marketers mainly from agencies and consultants
Yeah.
watching this show looking for a new MarTech tool to buy. No, they weren't. So, yeah, good example of you can get these top tier placements, but if they don't ultimately align with your audience and what you're selling, then it's as far as a business growth driver,
Mhm.
right? It might not be addressing what you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, also, I doubt John Oliver's show talked about what SparkToro is or does in the way
Right.
that it would require somebody to be able to make the decision to purchase
Right.
y'all.
Yeah, they were making the broader point about Google, and
Exactly.
they were like, "By the way, this company SparkToro," and they showed our
Yeah.
logo, the great,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
anyone watching that would be like, "I don't know, I guess they're a research analytics firm."
Yeah, exactly. But then, it wouldn't take that next step.
Yeah.
But that's another thing where it's like, what do you do with that, right? Or it's like, then you have the opportunity to talk about that experience and like, use that to then promote yourself a little bit. Okay, like this opportunity happened to us, so that calls attention to you. I mean, we've had a couple of examples here where we've talked about that, right? Where it's like not necessarily the campaign itself, but it's the talking about it that ends up getting more publicity. Like we talked about the Canva billboards that people were talking about online about. We talked about the Aura billboards, and then like the whole idea there is like, how do you turn this specific type of campaign into like the marketing case study that brings you more attention because people recognize that it's unique and like different than like what's happening with other companies, but that requires you as a company to be able to talk about it and put it in that context and not just rely on that you showed up on the John Oliver show, or that
Yeah.
you went viral x amount.
Some big takeaways here are if you're the CEO listening to this show, it's next time you ask your team to just make it go viral, think about what that actually means for your business, not just as this thing that marketing is responsible to make happen. It's what are the business goals that you have right now? Is it hiring? Is it acquiring new customers? Is it retaining customers? What is it specifically? And then think about and truly, like, sit with this and think about it. How does virality improve that mechanism for you, if it does at all? So
Yeah.
that'll be my challenge to people
Yeah.
listening to this here.